VC Bird2 as a people, we must embrace the world. We must be self-confident and enterprising. Today, Antiguans and Barbudans are known as a confident people, an open society well prepared for entrance into the 21st century. Our people have become accustomed to high quality of life, a visionary and effective leadership that delivers benefits. Our people will accept nothing less. Perhaps with all VC Bird's accomplishments, there is none greater than his contribution to the development of self-confident and determined people who expect nothing less than the best. VC Bird contributed to the development of a people with big dreams, great aspirations, and a self-confidence to rely on their own intellect, to fashion their own land in a manner we see fit, and which will benefit all Antiguans and Barbudans. VC Bird was indeed clearly an outstanding economic planner, with the capacity to devise the correct economic policies a couple of decades before they became accepted government. Not only did VC Bird devise correct economic policies, but he also ensured the implementation, transforming vision into reality. VC Bird was not just a dreamer whose visions evaporated at sunrise. His visions took root and bore many flowers in the lives of all our people. Now life is gone, and VC is gone, but surely he will live on in the hearts and minds of all Antiguans and Barbudans and Caribbean people. Madam President, let us hail the man, the national hero, the father of our nation, our beloved Papa Bird. He lives in the lives and accomplishments of our people from one generation to another. May his soul rest in peace and may perpetual light shine upon him. Thank you.
Michael.
Madam President, I'm humbled by this opportunity to stand here in the highest body in our land to pay tribute to our national hero, the father of our nation, the Right Honourable Dr. Sir Vere Cornwall Bird Sr. Firstly, on behalf of the entire Michael family, I'd like to extend our sincere condolences to Lady Lydia Bird and the entire Bird family at the passing of Sir Vere Cornwall Bird Sr. Madam President, much has been said about the life and role of VC Bird Sr. over the past week. Many members of government in both houses would have served with VC Bird or were adults during the last 25 years in his office. We have heard anecdotes and personal testimony of their experiences with VC Bird Sr. However, I'm not so fortunate. For while VC Bird Sr. was a personal friend of my late grandfather, Asot and my father, and while I visited him in my father's company as a little boy many times, and he visited our home at Dryden, my recollection of VC Bird Sr. is based on a review of his accomplishments in the context of the time of his leadership. Today, I would like to focus on just one element of VC Bird, his leadership qualities and approach in the economic management of our beloved country. My first memory of VC Bird Sr., as I've said, was as a friend of my father. I remember VC Bird making the point that while the white colonialists despised Syrians and Lebanese, calling them yellow weeds. VC Bird made them his friends. VC Bird understood very clearly the value of linking up every social group in creating a solid front to fight the colonial rulers. This was therefore the first lesson that I learned from VC Bird. That lesson is one should understand what is the big issue at hand, and one should subjugate lesser issues and other differences in the interest of forming a formidable united front to defeat the major threat. Madam President, this simple but profound lesson is not one that all of us have learned, much less mastered. So often we forget about the big picture and we nitpick about lesser issues, about smaller things, diluting our efforts and weakening our capacity to conquer. Madam President, Sir VC Bird Sr. understood the need for everyone to conquer colonial domination, and he succeeded. Today, as we aspire to create new economic opportunities, we have an opportunity to apply the VC Bird principle. Will we, like VC Bird, remember the big picture, or will we splinter our efforts by focusing on subordinate issues? Madam President, from listening to my colleagues and friends, I understood and appreciated another quality of Sir VC Bird. That is patience, born not only from tolerance and genuine appreciation of a different point of view, but also from an acute sense of tactical awareness. VC Bird was steadfast in his objectives, but he knew when to be aggressive and when to attack. VC Bird also knew when to retreat and wait for another day. As a general supremo of social struggle, and a victor in hundreds of social battles, we have a large stock of knowledge gained from VC Bird. His experiences, which should become mandatory for all politicians, trade unionists, social scientists, and senior government officials. Madam President, when other regional leaders took on the USA, the great USA, head on in the 70s when radicalism was sweeping the Caribbean, VC Bird understood the need for a different approach, a more subtle approach that ensured Antigua and Barbuda avoided the trauma which were inflicted by the USA on these economies. Madam President, in all his struggles, VC Bird never got caught up in VC Bird himself. He was never haughty, never boastful, never felt the need to dominate by the crude use of power just for the sake of power and proving that he was the big boss. There was always a point to VC Bird's power play. VC Bird instead used his intellectual capacity and political power to fashion a better country, a better lifestyle for his people, for all of his people. Madam President, you might recall a period in the 60s and 70s when the official view was that import substitution was the way to develop. This was the period when intellectuals frowned at the thought that services could be the basis for any economy. VC Bird tried import substitution. He started the Industrial Board, where the cornmeal factory, the sweet oil factory was started. He established the PDO. VC Bird was not hogtied to no economic philosophy, since he recognized that these were not ends in themselves, but rather means for which his people's life could be improved. Quickly, VC Bird recognized that this mode of import substitution did not have the dynamic potential to develop his country. VC Bird therefore switched